for consideration. This motion, of course, talks about the high cost of power in the country, and there are a number of proposals that the member is seeking the House to resolve on. For instance, that the Departmental Committee on Energy undertakes an inquiry into the operations of Kenya Power in relation to agreements entered into with IPPs, factors affecting the cost of electricity, including over-reliance on IPPs against available renewable and other energy sources, and measures to reduce it, and submit a report to the House within 120 days. This motion has been on the floor of the House for quite a while, and of course, debate on it will be kicking off this morning, or it is lined up for consideration as well on the floor of the House this morning. The motion on the development of a policy and funding for junior secondary school by Honorable Geoffrey Ruku is also lined up for consideration on the floor of the National Assembly this morning. And the honorable member is basing his argument on this motion on the fact that aware that communities have continuously established learning institutions within their localities to address the inadequate physical facilities to support the attainment of universal access to education, noting that Kenya Vision 2030 and Vision Progress, progressive establishment of more schools, expansion and rehabilitation of existing ones in order to improve access to education. Further noting that huge sums of funds, particularly at the national government, and issues including matters education. But as you can see, Honorable Martha Wangari is in the chambers. She will be presiding over this morning session. Allow me to hand you over for this live broadcast that is brought to you by PBU in partnership with KBC. Good morning.
Whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of important tasks in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we shall sit and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Order, members. I order that the Sergeant at Arms rings the bell for 10 minutes.
Well, the first chairperson of the Speaker's panel, Honorable Martha Wangari, has just directed that the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes. This is according to the standing orders, of course, at the commencement of House business. If the quorum of the House has not been achieved, then the bell will be rung for 10 minutes. Of course, this is to allow the members who are yet to get into the chambers to be able to walk in and take their seats and participate in the House business for that particular sitting. So currently is a 10-minute quorum bell, and members will be expected to walk into the chambers. The order of business is various motions that are lined up in the order paper for consideration. The motion by the Honorable Member for Konoin, Honorable Brighton Yegon, on the development and implementation of a child care program for children whose mothers are in lawful custody is one of those motions that are lined up for consideration on the floor of the National Assembly this morning. But of course, we'll be expecting members to walk in and enable the House attain its requisite quorum of 50 members. But looking at what this motion seeks to resolve on, the member says aware that Article 53 of the Constitution provides for the rights of children, including the right to free and compulsory basic education. Further aware that Section 22 of the Persons Deprived of Liberty Act and the Child Care Policy provides for the care of a child whose mother is deprived of liberty until the child attains the age of 4 years. Again, recognizing that children above the age of 4 years still require parental support. Again, further recognizing that majority of these children often suffer from emotional distress, social stigma, and economic hardships. Again, cognizant of the fact that all children should be accorded a means of maintaining their relationship with their incarcerated parents, and noting that children have restricted economic resources available for their support, which in turn negatively impacts their lives. The member seeks to have the House resolve or urge the government through the State Department for Social Protection and Senior Citizens Affairs to develop and implement a program for the care of children above the age of 4 years whose mothers are under lawful custody. That is a motion by the Konoin Member of Parliament, Honorable Brighton Yegon. That is one of the motions that are lined up for consideration on the floor of the National Assembly this morning sitting. As you can see, more members are slowly trickling into the chambers. Currently is a 10-minute quorum bell to allow the members to get into the chambers before the House commences its business. Pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 42A, Sub-Article 5, a number of members will be asking questions for reply before specified departmental committees. And this morning, the member for Maragua, Honorable Mary Wamaua, will be asking the Cabinet Secretary for Water, Sanitation and Irrigation to explain why Murang'a South Water and Sanitation Company, commonly referred to as MUSWASCO, is the sole authorized distributor of water in Maragua, Kigumo, Kandara and Gatanga constituency, yet the company has no capacity to meet the demand for water by all households in the 4 constituencies. The member will also be posing a question to the Cabinet Secretary for Water and Sanitation and Irrigation to provide the basis upon which the Water Services Regulatory Board, WASREB, prohibited Murang'a Water and Sanitation Company, MUWASCO, from distributing water to residents of Kambiti, Maragua Ridge area of Maragua constituency yet Muwasco is unable to handle the water demand in Maragua. This question by the Honorable Member for Maragua, Honorable Mary Wamowa, will be replied before the Departmental Committee on Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation. The member for Kaloleni, Honorable Paul Katana, will be asking the Cabinet Secretary for Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action to explain the criteria used by the ministry to categorize and gazette areas as hardship zones in the country and the reasons why Kaloleni has not been gazetted as a hardship zone despite the adverse conditions in most parts of the constituency. Remember, currently is a quorum bell. It has not been achieved yet. And according to Standing Order 34, is that a 10-minute quorum bell will be rung for members to be able to get into the chambers to enable the House achieve its requisite number before the commencement of the House business once the chair takes position. And at the lapse of the 10 minutes, then a further 5-minute quorum bell will be rung. If a 5-minute quorum bell lapses, then the speaker will or may call. All right, let's listen in.
Other members, we've had some technological challenges. The members who had logged in, kindly do that again. Remove your card and put it back as we await the requisite numbers.
Well, as directed there is that members are expected to log in their cards. Of course, we understand that the quorum has not yet been achieved and the quorum bell is still on. Members are expected to walk into the chambers for this morning sitting. And once the quorum is achieved, then we will allow you to this live broadcast, or of course, the Sergeant at Arms will signal that the quorum has been achieved and the House can commence its business.
Order members, you do not exit when the bell is ringing. Member for Narok, you do not exit when the bell is ringing. Standing orders.
Well, members, remember currently is a quorum bell that is calling for members to walk into the chambers. So the members who are already in the chambers are not expected to walk out. Remember, the House is on a 10-minute quorum bell to enable the House achieve its quorum, or rather requisite quorum. And of course, the members who are in are expected not to walk out to allow the number to be attained and of course give way to the House to commence its business. So the chairperson of the first chairperson to the speakers panel has just directed that members who are already in the chambers should not walk out as the quorum bell is on. Remember, the quorum bell is just to alert members who are yet to be in the chambers to walk to the chambers and enable the House achieve its requisite quorum. So the member for Kaloleni, Honorable Paul Katana, will this morning be asking the Cabinet Secretary for Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action whether she could explain, or the member will want to understand, when does the ministry intend to classify Kaloleni constituency as a hardship. Well, as you can see, that's the sergeant at arms who has signaled that the quorum has been achieved. Allow me to hand you over to this live broadcast.
To transact the business of the day. Order number 1.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Deputy Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, March 22nd, 2023, morning sitting. Reports of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect of the improvement of drinking water and sanitation systems in Mombasa, Mwache Project AFD Credit Facility number CKE 11001C, Coast Waterworks Development Agency for the year ended 30th June 2022, 2021, and 2022, and the certificates therein. Reports of the Auditor General and financial statements on NGCDF for Alego Usoga constituency for the year ended 30th June 2021, and the certificates therein. Reports of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect of the following institutions for the year ended 30th June 2022, and the certificates therein. A. Tana and Athi Rivers Development Authority, TARDA, Tana Waterworks Development Agency, Civil Servants Housing Scheme Fund, State Department for Housing and Urban Development, Kenya Slum Upgrading Low Cost Housing and Infrastructure Trust Fund, State Department for Housing and Urban Development, Kenya Institute for Public Policy Research and Analysis, KIPRA, Lake Victoria Water Supply and Sanitation Program, Phase 2 Project number PZZI Z1 EAO 004 ADF grant number 210015501967, Lake Victoria South Water Works Development Authority. EPS turnkey construction of 5 footbridges and Timol flyover on Mombasa and Langata Road, project loan credit number 001-19, and Ken 02001-19, Kenya National Highways Authority. Nairobi Thika Highway Improvement Project Lot 3, Government Concessional Loan Agreement number 2009-39, total number in brackets 290, Kenya National Highways Authority. Water Sector Development Program, Lake Victoria South, Kericho, Kisii, Nyamira, and Litien, loan number BMZ 2010-65861, and grant number BMZ 2010-70457, Lake Victoria South Water Works Development Agency. Kenya Town Sustainable Water Supply and Sanitation Program, CR number PKE E00011 AFDB loan number 200020000501, Central Rift Water Works Development Agency. Transforming Health Systems for Universal Health Care, THSCS Project Grant IDA credit number 5836, KETFOA 2561, TFOA 2792, and CRP 152394, Ministry of Health. African Environmental Health and Pollution Management Project, AHPMP, National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, and Safe Roads Usalama Barabarani Program, EU grant number, that National Transport and Safety Authority, and lastly, Eastern African Regional Transport Trade and Development Facilitation Project, credit number 5638, KEIDA, State Department for Infrastructure. Honorable Speaker, I lay the paper.
The next will be the Vice Chair for Health Committee.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 22nd March 2023. Report of the Departmental Committee on Health on its consideration of the ratification of the African Union Treaty for the establishment of the African Medicines Agency, HALMA. Beg to lay, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that this House adopts the report of the Departmental Committee on Health on its consideration of the ratification of the African Union Treaty for the establishment of the African Medicines Agency, AMA, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 22nd March 2023, are pursuant to the provision of Section 84 of the Treaty, making a ratification Act 2012, approve the ratification of the African Union Treaty for the establishment of the African Medicines Agency. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Member for Kandui, Honorable John Makali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to give notice of the following motion, that aware that according to the National Protocol for Treatment of Substance Use Disorders in Kenya by the Ministry of Health, drug abuse has been increasing in Kenya, especially among the youth, with statistics indicating that more than half of the drug users are aged between 10 and 19 years. Further aware that research released by the National Authority for the Campaign Against Drug Abuse, NACADA, in December 2022, placed Western Region as the leading region in alcohol and substance abuse at 23.8%, followed by the Coast region at 13.9%, and the Central region at 11.9%. Recognizing that the high level of drug abuse in Western region is attributable to illegal entry points from neighboring countries and unlicensed establishments, especially in Bungoma and Busia counties, with the statistics indicating that 2 out of every 5 establishments in Bungoma operate illegally. Further recognizing that a majority of the consumers of illegal substances are school-going children who end up dropping out of school, cognizant of the fact that the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act 2010 established Alcoholic Drinks Control Fund, whose purpose is to, among other things, facilitate the dissemination of information on alcoholic drinks and promote rehabilitation programs in the country. This House urges the government to institute intensive programs for the dissemination of information on alcohol and substance abuse in line with the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act 2010, and to increase the number of rehabilitation centers across the counties. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
The first question by the Honorable Member for Maragua, Honorable Mary Wamaua, would be deferred. She's bereaved, having lost her mother, so it will be deferred to the next sitting. Next question would be by the Member for Kaloleni, Honorable Paul Katana.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to ask question 058 to the Cabinet Secretary for Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action. Could the Cabinet Secretary explain the criteria used by the Ministry to categorize and gazette areas as hardship zones in the country, and the reasons why Kaloleni has not been gazetted as a hardship zone despite the advised conditions in most parts of the constituency? When does the Ministry intend to classify Kaloleni constituency as a hardship area in order to compensate public servants who serve in the region under advised conditions? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The next question will be by the Member for Kandui. This question by Honorable Katana will be replied before the Departmental Committee on Labor.
Thank you.
The next question will be by the Member for Kandui, Honorable John Makali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to ask this question to the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and National Planning. Could the Cabinet Secretary confirm whether the government ever released the sum of Kenya shillings 21,782,366,530 and a further Kenya shillings 908,878,470 towards the restructuring of Nzoia Sugar Company as per the recommendation of the sessional paper number 12 of 2012 adopted by the National Assembly on the 9th of January 2013. B, provide evidence indicating when the funds were released and whether the debts were written off. 3, provide details of the current annual status of the balance sheet of Nzoia Sugar Company Limited. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. To be replied before the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning. Next question by the member for Turkana Central, Honorable Joseph Emad. The next question by the MP for Kuresoi South, Honorable John Tonui. Joseph Tonui.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to ask question number 061 of 2023. Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Public Works, Housing, and Urban Development. Could the Cabinet Secretary explain the terms under which construction of the Olengurwan Stadium, which was being undertaken by the national government through the Ministry of Public Works, Housing and Urban Development, was transferred from the national government to the county government of Nakuru? Next, could the Cabinet Secretary provide the details of the contract sum for the named project, the amount that was paid out at the time of transfer, the outstanding balance, and clarify whether the corresponding contract sum was transferred to the county? Next, could the Cabinet Secretary explain the reasons why the contractor for the Olengurwan Stadium project deserted the site despite having been paid funds to start the works? Could the Cabinet Secretary state the plans that the ministry put in place to ensure that the abandoned Olengurwan Stadium is completed, ensure that no funds are lost, and specify when the construction works will resume? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. To be replied before the Departmental Committee on Housing, Urban Planning and Public Works. Honorable members, I have a communication to recognize a delegation from the Parliament of Namibia. Honorable members, I wish to introduce to you a delegation of the Parliament of Namibia who are seated in the Speaker's row. The delegation comprises members of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Implementation and Coordination, and they are as follows. Number 1, the Honorable Victoria M. Kauma, MP, leader of the delegation. Number 2, the Honorable John Likando, MP, member. Number 3, the Honorable Peter Kazongominja, MP. Number 4, the Honorable Melania Nzago, MP. Number 5, the Honorable Hans Nambodi, MP. Number 6, the Honorable Alphaeus Abraham, MP. And finally, the Honorable Olivia T. Hanguo, MP. Honorable members, the delegation is accompanied by 3 parliamentary officers, Mr. Bani Karuombe, Ms. Mono Matengu, and Mr. Bernard Muira. The delegation is on a visit to benchmark with their counterpart committee in the National Assembly. Honorable members, on my own behalf and that of the National Assembly, I welcome them to Parliament and wish them that they will have fruitful discussions and engagements during their stay in the country. I thank you. Next order.
Order number 8, the National Youth Council Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the National Youth Council Act. Order number 9, hoja, kupiga marufuku uzungumziaji, uchapishaji na usambazaji wa taarifa zinazokuza mahusiano ya jinsia moja.
Honorable Owen Mbaya, what's your point of order?
My point of order, Honorable Speaker, is on the leadership in the House. As a Parliament, we have minority and majority. And Honorable Speaker, Parliament, the National Assembly is comprised by both minority and majority. And this Parliament takes care of the leadership of both sides. But for the whole of this week, we have noted that one side has been permanently absent. And very important bills are coming, and we have passed the Division of Revenue Bill. We have passed several very important legislation that affect the country going forward, especially on the economic front. But the minority has not been doing their job. The minority has not been in this Parliament.
Honorable Baya. Honorable Owen Baya. We have the quorum in this House. We are well constituted to transact business. And I think the leadership, you know where we meet with the two sides of the alley. Please, let us go to the next order. Haya, mswada ulioko kwenye ukumbi huu uliowasilishwa na Mheshimiwa Mohamed Ali, zimesalia dakika 17 za mswada huo. Mheshimiwa wa Turkana alikuwa kwenye kipasa sauti, amebakisha dakika 6 kama anataka kuzitumia. Kama hataki kuzitumia, kuna dakika 7 ambazo zitakuwa kwa mswada huu, alafu tutampatia mwenye kuwasilisha kuweza kujibu. Vile vile, ninaona kwamba kuna watu wengi wanataka kuzungumza. Ni vizuri nijulishwe kama unataka kuongelea mswada huu, unijulishe kwenye hoja ya nidhamu ama intervention. Mheshimiwa wa Kaloleni, Mheshimiwa Kahindi Katana.
Asante, Madam Speaker. Nasimama kuunga mkono hoja hii kupiga marufuku uzungumzaji, uchapishaji, usambazaji wa taarifa zinazohusiana na mapenzi ya jinsia moja. Madam Speaker, sisi kama Afrika tuna utamaduni wetu, desturi yetu na mila zetu ambazo hazihusiani na jinsia moja, yani wanaume waoane wanaume na mwanamke aoane mwanamke. Madam Speaker, nchi hii ina sheria zake na kanuni zake ambazo ziko katika ndani ya katiba. Haya mambo ambayo yanazungumziwa kuhusu mambo ya ushoga na mambo ya usagaji yanaenda kinyume na mila na tamaduni zetu kama Afrika. Ile tunataka kuzungumzia, Madam Speaker, ni kwamba tunapinga vikali kiini ama njia yoyote ile ambayo inaweza kuleta mahusiano ya mwanamume kwa mwanamume. Hata shetani mwenyewe alipokuwa anamjaribu Hawa, hakuenda kwa Adamu, alijua ndoa ni ya mwanamke na mwanamume. Na hii, Madam Speaker, ni njia ambayo mataifa ya kigeni yanataka kutumia ili kuhakikisha kwamba ongezeko la wananchi katika bara la Afrika inapungua kwa kiwango kikubwa. Kwa hivyo ni lazima kama Wakenya kupinga vikali, na wale wote ambao wanatumika kueneza haya mambo ni lazima wachukuliwe hatua kali. Tunajua mbinu na njama, hii ni desturi za watu wa nje kule Amerika na katika nchi za Jumuiya ya Madola. Kama wanataka kufanya ushoga, wafanye kwa Ulaya na Amerika, watuache sisi wa Afrika tuendelee na mila zetu, dini zetu na desturi zetu. Hatuwezi kukubali mambo ya ushoga na mambo ya usagaji katika taifa letu. Asante, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. And maybe to the visiting Namibian delegation is to notify them that we have 3 languages in this house: English, Kiswahili, which is the local language that is being used now, or sign language. Nafasi hii nitaweza kumpatia mbunge wa Rabai.
Asante sana Madam Speaker. Mimi nami nasimama kuunga mkono hoja hii ambayo iliweza kuletwa na Mheshimiwa Mohamed Ali, hoja ambayo kwa hakika ni hoja ambayo tunasimama kidete kupinga masuala ya mambo ya ushoga. Mheshimiwa Spika, taifa letu la Kenya ni taifa ambalo tuko na misingi ya kidini. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, dini zote ndani ya taifa la Kenya halikubaliani na masuala ya mambo ya mashoga na usagaji. Kwa hiyo mimi nataka niunge mkono nikisema kwamba ninapinga kikamilifu. Sisi kama Wakenya ni watu ambao tunatii dini. Na kama nilivyotangulia kusema, Mheshimiwa Spika, dini hairuhusu masuala ya ushoga wala usagaji. Kwa hiyo mimi nataka niunge mkono mswada huu, na bunge hili la kitaifa linapopitisha mswada huu tuhakikishe kwamba sheria kali inatolewa kwa wale ambao watakuwa na matendo ya ushoga ama usagaji. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, nasimama kuunga hoja hii nikilaani vikali sana masuala ya ushoga na usagaji katika taifa letu la Kenya. Asante sana, na nimshukuru pia Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka kumshukuru Rais wetu wa Jamhuri ya Kenya kwa sababu amekuwa mstari wa mbele kupinga ile uamuzi ambao ulitolewa na mahakama, uamuzi ambao ulikuwa unasema kwamba ushoga uweze kuendelea. Kwa hiyo nataka nisimame hapa kumshukuru Mheshimiwa Rais wetu kwa kuwa mstari wa mbele kupinga masuala ya ushoga ndani ya Kenya yetu. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, asante sana Mohamed Ali kwa kuja na mswada. Asante.
Muda wa hoja hii unaendelea kuyoyoma. Tuko na dakika moja peke yake. Mheshimiwa Hilary Kosgei.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to support this motion, Madam Speaker, that the West, especially America, has been engaged in a serious re-engineering of the world order. They brought us Christianity, and when they realized that Africans have taken up Christianity and Islam, and that they are going to heaven, right now they are bringing us another new program of gays and lesbians to re-engineer the world to take them back to hell. Madam Speaker, we will not accept gays, we will not accept lesbians in our society, Madam Speaker, and we have to stand firm as the African society and be counted in this world stage as a continent that fears God and as a people who respect culture and marriage as ordained in the holy books of Christianity and Quran. Madam Speaker, I beg to support.
Najua wengi wangetaka kuchangia, lakini muda umetupa kisogo. Sasa tutampa aliyewasilisha mswada huu, Mheshimiwa Wanyali, Mheshimiwa Mohamed Ali, aweze kujibu. Uko na dakika 10.
Shukran sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Ningelipenda kuwasilisha hoja hii, na kwanza kabisa kuanza kwa kuwapongeza wabunge la taifa kwa kujitokeza na kuweza kuunga mkono mswada huu wa kupinga matendo ya kishetani, ya kupinga matendo ya wazungu yanayojaribu kuletwa na wazungu katika taifa hili letu. Na mimi nitaendelea kusimama kidete na kusema ya kwamba hatutakubali kamwe nchi hii tabia za Wamarekani ziletwe hapa ili mashoga na wasagaji waweze kutawala nchi hii. Na nataka kumwambia balozi wa Marekani humu nchini, Bi Meg Whitman, ya kwao ya Marekani ayafanye Marekani, na ya Kenya aachie wa Kenya wafanye ya Kikenya. Mambo ya kutuletea mambo ya ushoga na usagaji na hata kutumia pesa kufikia viongozi mbalimbali, kutumia misaada haramu ili kuweza kuleta hii tabia mbovu hapa nchini Kenya, hatutakubali. Na kama wewe munajiona kama kiranja wa dunia, ifahamike ya kwamba mkuu wa hii dunia ni Mwenyezi Mungu, na katika dini ya Kikristo na dini ya Kiislamu na dini zingine zote Mwenyezi Mungu ameikataa. Pia nataka kuchukua fursa hii niweze kumpongeza sana Rais Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Mungu akupe afya na akuongezee umri, kwa sababu jana ulitia sahihi ya kuhakikisha mashoga na wasagaji kule hawatambi na hawatapewa nafasi. Pia nataka nimpongeze Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya Daktari William Samoei Ruto kwa kusimama kidete na kumwambia Attorney General aangalie maamuzi yale yaliyofanywa na Mahakama Kuu na kuhakikisha ya kwamba hayo maneno yamebatilishwa na yaende vile ambavyo Wakenya wanataka, vile ambavyo katiba ya Kenya inataka, na vile ambavyo dini ya Mwenyezi Mungu inataka. Kumbuka wiki iliyopita nilikuwa hapa katika bunge hili na nikaweza kutoa vitabu vitakatifu, nikakuja na Biblia na nikakuja na Qurani. Kwa wale ambao hawakuwa, nilitoa hata aya katika Biblia na katika Qurani. Katika Biblia tumeonywa, Walawi 20:13 mnaambiwa, Mwenyezi Mungu anasema, kama mwanaume yeyote akilala na mwanaume mwenzake kana kwamba ni mwanamke, basi wote wawili ni lazima wauawe. Sio mimi nasema, ni Mwenyezi Mungu. Sikilizeni maandiko vizuri. Kwani wamefanya jambo lililo chukizo, watawajibika kwa umwagikaji wa damu yao wenyewe. Ukifanya ushoga, ukifanya usagaji, na Mungu anasema muuawe. Hatutabembelezana nchi, tutafuata katiba ya Mungu sisi. Quran An-Nisa sura ya 16 inasema, na wale wanaume wawili wanaofanya uchafu, yaani wanaume kwa wanaume, miongoni mwenyu, waadhibuni wote. Kwa lugha ya Kimombo, discipline them. Eti Marekani inakuja kusema demokrasia wanaume wapandane kama mbuzi. Demokrasia wanawake wapandane. Hiyo si demokrasia, hiyo ni ushetani. Na nyinyi viongozi msiogope. Mimi nimewaambia mkitaka mchukue visa yangu. Visa tunaotafuta duniani ni visa ya ufalme wa mbinguni. Tusiogope hizi vijikaratasi vidogo. Tusiogope hizi sheria zao. Wazungu walikuja hapa Afrika, wakatutoa katika utamaduni wetu, wakatudhulumu, wakatufanya wakimbizi wa ndani kwa ndani, wakaua wazee wetu, wakawanyang'anya ardhi, wakawatesa, hata wakawafanya kama slaves na kuwauza kama mifugo katika mataifa ya nje ili Waafrika waende wafanye kazi chafu chafu. Leo hata mfano ikitolewa katika sinema, eti watu weupe ndio malaika, watu weusi ni mashetani. Hata katika vitabu, jamani, fungueni macho nyinyi wa Afrika. Fungueni macho. Shetani, alama ya shetani ni mweusi. Hakuna siku utaona shetani mweupe. Hata katika sinema, mwizi, muuaji, mbakaji, mtu mbaya ni Mwafrika. Hawezi eka mwizi mzungu, hawezi eka shetani mzungu. Ni kwa sababu wamedharau hata ngozi yetu. Ukienda saa hii kule kwao, wanabagua wa Afrika, munaitwa monkeys, munaitwa kila aina ya majina, gorilla, chimpanzee, na mnacheka hapa mnasema wazungu wazungu. Eti mzungu akishuta ni marashi, Mwafrika akishuta ni uchafu. Amkeni, kumekucha. Mukatae haya ya wazungu, na wazungu muwaite kwa majina yao. Mimi leo namtaja balozi wa Marekani. Wiki iliyopita alifanya mikutano na mashoga na masagaji, na anasema na lugha ya Kimombo eti talking about the democracy and the human rights. Hakuna human rights. Muende musiagane huko kwenyu, muwapatie visa, muwapatie green card. Chukueni hawa mashoga, muwapatie hizo haki za binadamu katika mataifa yenu. Nchi hii ya Marekani imeharibu dunia nzima. Imeharibu milki za Kiarabu kwa vita za mafuta. Imeharibu mataifa mengine kwa sababu ya minerals. Imeharibu kila nchi.
Honorable Karoli Omondi, what is your point of order? Order, Honorable.
Right, Honorable Speaker, while I agree with a lot of things that the Honorable Member is saying, is it in order for him to make statements that imply hostility towards a friendly country, the United States? Is he in order?
What is that standing order, Webe?
Without a substantive motion.
Honorable Mohammed Ali, I would want you to also be careful, because don't go against our standing orders, that you're not supposed to expressly discuss matters pertaining to an elected official, president. Let us adhere to that in mind.
Mheshimiwa Spika, wajua Marekani ikitajwa kuna watu matumbo yanawaingia moto. Mimi sizungumzii wa Marekani kwa jumla. Mimi nazungumzia anayetaja, kwa sababu yule balozi ameita mashoga wa Kenya, hajaita mashoga wa Marekani. Amezungumzia swala linalotuhusu sisi wa Kenya. Na kwa hivyo, kwa sababu ya diplomasia na heshima ya mataifa, tutaheshimiana. Lakini ukienda kinyume na katiba ya nchi yetu, hatutaheshimiana. Kwa hivyo mimi, Mheshimiwa Spika, sijamtaja kwa njia mbaya. Nimemtaja kwa sababu yeye anajaribu kufanya mambo kinyume na katiba ya nchi. Sisi tunaheshimu katiba yao, na wao waheshimu katiba yetu, waheshimu dini zetu, waheshimu utamaduni wetu, na waheshimu Uafrika na Ukenya ndani yetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, naona muda unanipa kisogo, wabunge wanataka kuchangia, na Mheshimiwa Spika, nitamwachia dakika zilizosalia dada yangu hapa aweze kuchangia, lakini ningeliomba pia uwape muda kidogo hao wangwana waweze kuzungumzia haya maswala. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na naomba bunge hili naomba bunge hili lipitishe mswada huu tukisubiri bill ya Mheshimiwa Kaluma. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Yangu ya mwisho labda tu ni kuomba wanabunge waweze kupasisha mswada huu na kuhakikisha ya kwamba hizi tabia haziwezi kukaribia watoto wetu, kizazi chetu kijazo. Wahakikishe ya kwamba uchapishaji wa vitabu katika runinga kuonyesha machafu ambapo wanaume kwa wanaume ama wanawake kwa wanawake katika vipindi, haya yote yameweza kuzuiliwa na serikali ya Kenya ili tulinde kizazi kijazo. Kwa hivyo mimi nawasilisha hoja na kusema wabunge muweze kupitisha mswada huu tukisubiri ile ya Mheshimiwa Kaluma ambaye itapelekewa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya aitie kidole ili tusahau haya mambo mara moja na tulinde vizazi vyetu. Asanteni sana na Mungu awabariki.
St. Angela Kiriaini Girls.